I wanted to share the results of my annual DEXA scan. That's the scan of body fat and lean muscle mass, as well as VO2 Max test, where I wear the fun mask and get on a treadmill and run as fast as I can. And they raise the intensity and the elevation until you basically wear the mask and find out how oxygen is going in and converting into energy into your muscles. And then when it switches and it's more carbon dioxide going out, and they can basically see where's your threshold for the maximum oxygen conversion to sustain your muscle endurance. It's a great measurement of your cardiovascular endurance, overall fitness. So it's kind of like horsepower in a car, right? What can you do to train that? We've talked about that quite a bit, but a lot of zone 2 training, basically at mid heart rate without too intensity for long distance, like a lot of walking, and then some like super intense, ultra high intensity HIIT training type workouts where you go all out, rest, all out, rest. Those are really good for training that. But anyway, the results were great. For the DEXA scan, I actually, lean muscle mass, in the last 12 months, I've gained 11 pounds of lean muscle mass, and I've lost, on their scale, 4% body fat. The DEXA is usually about double, like an in-body scan or a water tank scan. So, whereas I'm usually 5% on those, and I was 10% on the DEXA scan, which is super low for them in that kind of really, lean muscle or lean fat and high muscle mass. So, with 11-pound gain, that you don't see that very often while you're losing fat as well. So that combination with my VO2 max being really high, which is really cool about that is they basically give you a biological age score, and I came in at like 36 years old, which for those of you who don't know, I'm 52 years old, so I was pretty happy with that. Sometimes I do blood tests and they're not quite that low, so I'm not fully buying into that. But Dr. Attia always talks about the two main indicators of longevity of life, and they are lean muscle mass and VO2 max. By his standards, I think this is accurate. If you have a really low body fat, high muscle mass, and a strong VO2 max, you're set up for metabolic health to go pretty well and lack of disease and to live a lot longer, by those indicators at least. So what am I most excited? So the actual VO2 max from last year went down a little bit, and I was pretty bummed about that because I know I'm in a lot better shape, but I've been doing this carnivore diet and I think my body's not fully adapted, they said, so not bad adapted, so not enough glucose to sustain the energies for this particular test. I'm less concerned about that. One really cool thing was they raised actual zone 2, went up from about like the high end of that zone 2 range for me, went from like 138 to 152. So meaning with a heart rate at even up to 152, I'm in that zone 2 where I'm burning 50% fat and 50% carbs during that any workout at zone 2, which is actually pretty nice because you can kind of optimally keep burning fat and using that for energy all the way up to that higher range. So the higher you can bring that, the low end of your VO2 max, and that zone 2 kind of up, then the higher threshold you have to burn fat and not push it by. That also means I can recover really fast to that 150 range and be sustained at that for a lot longer. So really kind of cool, even though I was disappointed by the number not being as high as last year. It's still in the excellent or elite category, so I'm not worried about it at all. But still, I'm pretty excited about if you do that, and it's because I do HIIT training on a daily basis. Most of you know I do F45, and it's pretty interval and HIIT training style of workouts where my average heart rate, when I see it on my heart rate monitor every day, is usually around 150 for the day. So it makes sense that that's where I recover fast to, and where I can just sustain working out at that level for a long time. Anyway, I would suggest that if you have never done a VO2 max test or a DEXA scan to learn about where's your visceral fat, what's your bone density, where's all your muscle mass, and if you can track this on an annual basis, you start to see how things are moving around and what's happening and what's not, see where risk categories are at or not. But then if you can work towards training that VO2 max and increasing that, it's just a good strategy for longevity of life, keeping disease away, and just feeling great.